DNA supercoiling and topology, a higher order structure that the DNA is able to take up. This topic, the outcome of this topic is that we can know that DNA can have higher order structures, and therefore depending on the higher order structure that is formed, there will be new energetics involved. We will be able to understand the significance of this property for the functions in the cell. We will also be able to understand the different features that enable topology changes and the mathematical parameters associated with the same. We will also be able to comprehend the types of supercoiling and its prevalence. Now let's just understand what we mean by a higher order structure of DNA. So we all know that DNA is formed from two single-stranded polynucleotide chains. So the two single-stranded polynucleotide chains, each strand is basically considered to be a primary structure. When you have these two strands of the DNA coming together to form a double helical structure, because of the hydrogen bonding between the complementary base pairs, then that is what is equivalent to being a secondary structure. So this secondary structure takes up the double helical form because it is in this double helical form that it is thermodynamically stable, or it forms spontaneously. And this double helical form has a helical axis. So when this helical axis twists or bends as is observed in this structure, then that is what is understood to be a tertiary structure. So that is how you can have the DNA going from a lower order structure to a higher order structure. And therefore, such tertiary structures are also called as DNA superhelical structure, because a helix is coiling further or is turning further, and therefore it is called as a superhelical structure. Now let's see what is DNA topology. So earlier times when you used to have telephone handsets and the telephone handlines were not cordless, you would find that these cords are attached to the box. Now these coils, when they are left when they are stretched to make a call, you will see that the coil opens up. But when the handset, when the telephone mouthpiece is kept back on the machine, okay, you will find that the coil that is there naturally, spontaneously takes up structures like this. So this is a coil, but when the coil coils further, you see you have an interwound region. This is one topology. You can see that it forms another just coil like this, which looks like a solenoid. You can again see an interwound structure like this. So these that are formed, that is the coiling of the coil itself, is what is understood by supercoiling. Now, interestingly, when you have a linear DNA, that is, when we say that the DNA is linear, the two ends of the DNA are free. Because the two ends of the DNA are free, when you twist the DNA at one end, there will be a twist, but at the other end, the twist will open up. So effectively, the number of twists in the DNA remain the same. Even if you try to add a twist from this end, you will have a twist removed from the other end. So effectively, a free DNA which is free at both the ends never supercoils. Now, suppose you take this linear DNA and both the ends you try to covalently link it up to form a circular DNA, a closed covalent circular DNA. As a closed covalent circular DNA, if you twist this DNA, you will find that the helical axis can twist over another. So the double-stranded coil is coiling further, and therefore a supercoil is being formed. So what we are trying to look at is that when it is a linear DNA which is free at both the ends, you will not observe supercoiling. However, when the same DNA becomes a closed DNA, the closed DNA will immediately supercoil because there is no free end to release the twist from the other end. So the twist that is introduced remains within the DNA, but the coiling is such that the helix of the DNA is coiled. So therefore you can see this is a low order DNA. This is close to the secondary, this goes slowly to the higher order. So this is going to the higher order and this is a higher order structure. Let us again look at a few more instances of how DNA forms or comes into different topologies. So this is the closed circular DNA. This is one topology. When it becomes a chromosome, so loops in the chromosome, okay, this is another topology of DNA. When you have a linear DNA attached by both the ends to say membranes or to say protein molecules, okay, you will again find that it forms certain topologies. Interestingly, what you can also find is that you can have the DNA present in such a way that they are tangled. Now, suppose you have a linear DNA. Now, the linear DNA at one end is fixed to a support. So if this linear DNA is twisted towards its right, you will have a coil formed, and this coil formed is what is called as a positive supercoil because a right-handed helix is coiled further towards the right. So therefore, such a supercoil which is coiling towards the right when the double helix is already a right-handed coil, then such a supercoiling is called as positive supercoiling. However, the same when it is coiled the other end, so a right-handed coil is coiled towards its left, then what you get is a negative supercoil. So both the structures are supercoiled, but the direction in which it supercoils decides whether it is a positive supercoil or whether it is a negative supercoil. Now the same applies for the closed circular covalent DNA as well. When you do not have any twists introduced into this closed circular DNA, the DNA is considered to be relaxed. But when it is twisted towards its right, then you get positive supercoil. So you can already see there is a positive supercoil. And when it is twisted towards its left, you will get a similar, but then the twist is a negative supercoil. So it's again the direction of the twisting that decides whether the supercoiling is positive or the supercoiling is negative. Now, fundamentally, therefore, what we understand is that the number of times the double-stranded DNA crosses each other, okay, that many number of supercoils are present. So let's say consider that this relaxed DNA is coiled towards the right twice. So then you have one coil over here that is crossing of the double helix over here and the crossing of the helix again over here. So the helical axis crosses each other twice. So therefore this DNA is considered to have two positive supercoils because the twist is towards the right. And this is the same case, but in this case the twist has been in the left hand side. So the twisting is towards the left or it is anti-clockwise, and therefore you have two supercoils again, but these two supercoils are considered to be negative supercoils. Well, twisting can also lead to knotted structure and the tangled structure. So these also, if you can observe, you have the helical axis helical axis crossing each other once over here, and you have the helical axis crossing each other once over here as well and here as well. So you have how many supercoils? You have three supercoils in this. In this case, the helical axis is crossing each other over here and it is also crossing each other over here. So there is a supercoil here and there is a supercoil here. So depending on where the helical axis coils or where the helical axis coils in such a way to cross each other, that would indicate that the DNA has supercoiled. Now just let's look at consider that it is a rubber band, okay? So what we are trying to show is that a rubber band is a closed circular DNA, and say you hold the rubber band, and from one end, if you begin to twist, now believe it, when you start twisting, you will feel a pressure that stops you from twisting it further. But you can keep twisting it, and as you keep twisting it, you will see that it becomes a small compact ball. So do you know what is happening? The twisting of the DNA has led to it becoming a very compact structure. When you release this twist, again you will get back the original form. So you will find that twisting makes, or the supercoiling makes, the DNA more compact. So let's look at the instance over here. What we observe is that linking number is a topological feature of the DNA, and it is basically a measured parameter of supercoiling. That means it's a mathematical description of supercoiling per se. So therefore, what is linking number? Linking number is the number of times one strand. So consider the red as one strand and the green as the other strand is linked with the other. So the number of times it is linked. So it is linked over here, correct? This is one link. This is the second link. Likewise, so the number of times one strand is linked with the other is described by what we today term as the linking number. So let's make a count over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So therefore, there are how many linked? What is the linking number over here? The linking number is considered to be 8. Now, we have added a plus over here. What is the reason for adding a plus over here? Well, the plus indicates that it is positively supercoiled. So when you have a plus added, then it means it is indicating, so linking number is equal to plus 8 indicates that there are 8 supercoils and they are all positive supercoils. So when you have to define linking number, it is associated with two other parameters. One is what is called as twisting number, and the other one is what is called as writhing number. So linking number is effectively twisting number plus writhing number. Let us see what is twisting number. So twisting number is basically a characteristic of the helix itself. So therefore, how would you calculate twisting number? Well, the twisting number is calculated very simple. It is basically the number of helical turns that a DNA has. How do you calculate that? Well, you calculate the number of helical turns by knowing the total number of base pairs per DNA divided by the number of base pairs per turn. So if it is bDNA, we all know the number of base pairs per turn is 10.5. So let us consider that we have a DNA which is 1050 base pairs long, and we know that the number of base pairs per turn is 10.5. So 1050 by 10.5 is equal to how much? It is equal to 100. So therefore, what is the twisting number? The twisting number of that DNA is 100. Then what is writhing number? The writhing number is a parameter that is associated with the helical axis. So if the helical axis bends in space once, then the writhing number is 1. If it bends in space twice, then the writhing number is 2. So therefore, twisting number is associated or a characteristic of the helix, whereas writhing number is associated with the helical axis. So you would observe that the linking number is always an integer, and it is an invariant integer topologically. Okay, now we will try to understand what we mean by this. So for a relaxed DNA, that means a DNA that has no supercoils, okay, the linking number is equal to the twisting number. So, but in the same DNA, suppose you have the twisting number and the Wigner number. So we are considering that the linking number is invariant. So say for example, the linking number is 2, correct? Then if the case is that the DNA is relaxed, then linking number is going to be 2 in a relaxed DNA. So let's consider this as an example itself. So if you have this closed circular covalent DNA, this is one twist, this is the second twist, and this is the third twist, correct? So therefore for this DNA which is relaxed, the twisting number is 3. So since there is no Wigner number in a relaxed DNA, the linking number is always equal to 3. Now you have the same closed circular DNA, but if the twists are towards the right, then you are indicating it as +3. And if the twists are towards the left, then you are indicating it as -3. So suppose now a twist is added or a twist is introduced into this relaxed DNA. What will happen? We are saying that the linking number is invariant. So therefore, what will vary? The twisting number and the Wigner number. Now, what have we introduced over here? We have introduced one Wigner. That means the helical axis has crossed the other helical axis. So the helical axis has bent from its normal. Therefore, one Wigner is added. If one Wigner is added, twisting number will decrease by 1 because ultimately 2 plus 1 will always have to give 3 because linking number we are considering as invariant. So if the Wigner number is 1, then the twisting number becomes 2. Effectively linking number remains 3 because 2 plus 1. Now the same applies here, but here because it is towards the left hand, the turn is towards the left hand, the Wigner number is -1 and so is the twisting number. So -2 plus -1 is again what is -3. So I hope you've understood what we are trying to look at. So in a DNA, the twisting number and the Wigner number are variants. They are not invariant. They can change depending on the temperature, depending on the conditions present in which the DNA is, and depending also on how the DNA is functioning. Say consider again the same situation, but in this what happens is you have 2 Wigners added. Since you have 2 Wigners added, the number of twists is going to be 1. So you can see that this black portion is 1 and this green portion is 1. So you can see that the twist has decreased by 1, okay, but the Wigner has increased by 2. So therefore effectively again it is 3. The same applies to the other one. Now so we are again looking at this. You have a closed circular DNA, okay, and interestingly when a local part of this closed circular DNA is opened, okay, it is unwound at this part, then to compensate for opening or decrease of the twists, what is increasing? The Wigners are increasing. Can you see? Due to the opening of the DNA at one portion of the closed circular DNA, obviously when you open the DNA, the twists are going to decrease. But see, linking number has to be invariant. So if the twists are decreasing, what is going to increase? The Wigners. So therefore, look at the fact that due to a local unwinding in the relaxed DNA, there is introduction of positive supercoils. Okay, so this is what happens. So you can see that based on the function of the DNA, a DNA has to unwind at a particular point to enable a particular function. But because the DNA has opened at one point, other area of the DNA, the supercoiling is increasing. So there is an introduction of positive supercoils when at one end you have uncoiling of the twist happening. Now, suppose we consider the relaxed DNA, then a relaxed DNA, the linking number is kept at 0. Okay, linking number 0 is equivalent to twisting number 0. That means there is no introduction of supercoils as yet. And we know that the twisting number is nothing but total number of base pairs by gamma. Gamma stands for the number of base pairs per turn. When it is supercoiled DNA, the supercoiled DNA is when there is a change or there is a difference in the linking number. So the difference in the linking number is represented as tau, or in many books it will also be referred to as delta LK. Okay. So the change in linking number is the new linking number minus the linking number when it was relaxed. And therefore that is equivalent to the linking number minus the total number of base pairs divided by the number of base pairs per turn. When you have linking number positive, that means introduction of positive supercoils, the DNA becomes overwound. And with an increase in positive supercoils, the torsional strain only increases. And when you have linking number becoming negative, that is negative supercoiling is introduced, then the DNA is considered to be underwound. So therefore here, relative to an overwound DNA, the underwound DNA definitely is going to be having lesser torsional strain. So what are the configurations possible because of these supercoilings? So you can have an interwound DNA, or what is also called as a plectonemic DNA. Such a structure is found, or configuration is found more in prokaryotes, because the DNA in the prokaryotes is a closed circular DNA. In linear DNA, which is present in the eukaryotes, you will find that there is supercoiling, but the supercoiling is what is called as toroidal, okay, or it's also called as a solenoid DNA. So these are configurations that is arising because of supercoiling. Well, there is one more parameter associated with the supercoiling, and that is called as a superhelical density, which is denoted by sigma. So what is sigma? Sigma is basically the change in linking number, that is tau, divided by linking number when the DNA is at rest. Effectively, therefore, you know that tau is nothing but linking number. So the linking number at 0 is twisting number. So we know that basically superhelical density is the difference in linking number divided by the twisting number. So there is a direct connection between the difference in linking number and the twisting number. So supercoiling leads to a torsional strain and thermodynamically unfavorable. Therefore, local DNA changes can cause relaxation. So if it becomes overtly thermodynamically unfavorable, then within the DNA itself, at localized regions, you would have relaxation happening. So let me raise a question. If a 1050 base pair long DNA, negatively supercoiled DNA, has a linking difference of -4, that means there are 4 supercoils, but they are negatively supercoiled, and you would want to release the stress. So whether it is negative or positive, there is an associated torsional strain. So if you want to release the torsional strain, what would you do? The answer to this is, since there are 4 supercoils, you unwind the DNA such you unwind 4 helical turns. If you unwind 4 helical turns, approximately 42 base pairs are associated with unwinding of 4 helical turns. So in a 1050 base pair long DNA, you are only unwinding 42 base pairs. Therefore, this is what stands true. For a local DNA, change in a local region can cause relaxation. So in a 1050 base pair long negatively supercoiled DNA, unwinding of 4 helices, 4 helical turns is enough to relax the DNA. Now you also have DNA present as knots and catenins. So this is a knot, this is another knot, this is positively supercoiled, this is negatively supercoiled. You can also have the DNA catenated, this is catenated, again positive supercoiling and negative. So I leave you with questions. How are these formed? Can you release the knots or can you release the catenins? What is the significance of supercoiling? So human DNA is the bDNA and it is right-handed. So what is observed is that the human DNA which is present normally in a cell is present as negative supercoils. So generally most DNA exists in the negative supercoiled form. Majorly all the organisms from bacteria to eukaryotes on earth that is are negatively supercoiled. However, there are exceptions and some thermophilic bacteria have positive supercoils in the structure. So significance of supercoiling is definitely here. The length of DNA, say from 46 chromosomes, is approximately 2 meters, but it has to fit into a 10 micrometer radius nucleus. I'm sorry, this is going to be 10 microns. Remove the m or make it small m. So it is 10 micrometer radius nucleus. So you can see such a long, 2 meters long, has to fit in 10 micrometers. And that is why supercoiling is important. An underwound DNA. An underwound DNA, therefore less torsional strain, requires less energy to get denatured. That is the reason why most DNA are present as negative supercoils. So that when the DNA has to unwind for a particular function in a negatively supercoiled form, you need less energy to denature. But if it is present in a positive supercoiled form, you will need more energy to denature the DNA. Overwound DNA is positively supercoiled and this requires more energy. Therefore, when genes are to be less expressed, then those regions can remain as an overwound DNA. This is hypothetical. If we stretch double stranded DNA from both the end, it is approximately 100 kilometers long. DNA of all living organisms is supercoiled on an average of approximately 6%. So you have all living organisms having DNA supercoiling. So let me make the conclusions. Double helix is a coil structure. When this structure coils further with the helical axis moving in space, the DNA supercoils to become a more compact form. The DNA can exist in various topologies, which influences the functions of the DNA. Linking number and superhelical density are the topological features of supercoiling. It can be positive, leading to DNA becoming overwound. It can be negative, leading to DNA becoming underwound. And the negative supercoiling form is the form in which the DNA is generally present. The configurations commonly found are plectonymic DNA and solenoid DNA. Thus, supercoiling is a higher order structure of DNA that enables the DNA to compact into a small space. This is important. And topological changes are possible influencing the functions of DNA. That means one topological form can change to another topological form, and this too has equal significance. Thank you.